Good morning, everyone. This is Shane with W&R Studios. I'm getting a little feedback. I thought I had everybody muted. Linnea, I went ahead and just unmuted you. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me? This is Cindy.
Hi, yeah, I can hear you. I went ahead and unmuted Linnea. Are you on hers?
Yeah, I'm with her.
Okay, I'm getting some background feedback. I think it might be coming from you guys' end there. Yeah, I wasn't able to hear that. Sorry.
I don't do a lot of webinars, so I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that noise is. I'm gonna try to put you on mute. Let's see what happens here. Huh? I'm still getting that. That's strange.
Can you hear that? Is that better?
Yeah, I'm still getting some feedback. I'm not sure if that's my own voice going into your mic. I'm gonna try something here real quick.
You know, I already got a question. Mike, I'll probably need to. They have that in California. I'm a California broker. Use it. It goes to California MLS.
Sorry, I'm not able to hear you very well. If you want to type it in the chat. I'm gonna try to dial back in and see if it's a little bit clearer. Just give me a second here.
Okay.
Hi, I'm back. I'm still getting that.
It's not my background washing machine, is it?
I'm not sure what it is. It's pretty loud.
Let me see if I can shut that off. Is that better?
No, I'm still getting it. I think it might be somebody on the call. So for everybody that's on the call, if you can make sure that that you mute your phones. I'm showing everybody muted, but it looks like something's coming through here. Are you able to hear that on your end, Lenny, or is it just me? Lene, on your end, are you able just to mute your phone really quickly or your microphone? Do that. So Lene, on your own device, if you can just mute your own device.
Oh, this is okay.
Or maybe if you want to.
Webinar, so I can't talk. I'll have to call you back. How about I'll call you?
Lene, I have you off mute, so you're able to talk. It might be better if you maybe call in on your phone, use the phone rather than the desktop for the audio. That might solve the issue. Thanks everybody for joining. Just sit tight. We're just gonna try to get this audio correct here. So Lene, on your end, if you can log out and then come back in, but use your phone for the audio. Sorry, folks, I'm not sure what that is. So again, if everybody can make sure that they're muted on your end, your phones are all muted. We're still getting this feedback from a caller here. Lenny, I'm still showing it's coming from your audio there. Not sure why. think I got it solved. Thanks, folks. Linnea, I made you a panelist, so we'd be able to talk back and forth, but for some reason, there's some kind of a static or something coming through from your end. So I'm going to go ahead before I get started, Linnea. I'm going to unmute you now. So if there's anything you want to talk about first before I begin, and then I'm going to go ahead. And start. So Linnea, I'm going to unmute you right now. There you go. You're able to talk now.
I can't hear a thing.
Linnea, are we good to start? Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. So we shouldn't be hearing that feedback now. I'm going to share my screen with everybody. And you should also be looking at my Cloud CMA account now. If everybody can just confirm really quickly that you can hear me okay, just go ahead and type into the chat. I just want to make sure my audio is coming through. And what I'm going to do as far as when I'm going through the class with you guys is any questions anybody has, feel free just to type them in the chat and I'll get to them the best I can. If I miss your question, I can certainly make sure I follow up with you at the end and make sure everything's addressed. Looks like everybody can hear me all right. Everybody can see my screen. That's awesome. Just a quick introduction. My name is Shane. I'm the Director of Broker Services for Cloud CMA. I know you guys have just recently launched with our program. Congratulations. Big thanks to Linnea and the staff for bringing this on for you guys. You're just one of few brokers in your area that have access to Cloud CMA. So it's going to really help you guys stand out, hopefully when you're on listing presentations and when you're working with your buyers. Now, before I kind of get into the training portion of this, I just want to give you kind of a big picture on Cloud CMA, because some of you might be wondering, well, why would I even use this, right? Why don't I just use the CMA that's coming already out of my MLS? So just to give you a little background, right now we have over 700,000 agents using Cloud CMA, and they use it for lots of reasons. But the biggest feedback we get is, number one, it's really simple to use. Number two, the reports look fantastic, and we have branded reports that we've created for you guys, not only on the print side, but also on the digital side. So for those of you that want to use your iPads or get your handheld device a little bit more active in your listing presentation, you have both options, and we've branded both for you as well. Also, when you're creating reports, it will look like you did a lot of work. So the perception is, hey, this agent went out and pulled a lot of information into their CMA. So it's not just data from Central Oregon MLS, it's a lot of additional information. And if you look, one of those logos up there, and I always address this at the beginning because I want to make sure everybody understands why we have that in there. If you look on the screen, there's a logo for Zillow. So why would we pull in Zestimates into a CMA? Well, you know, we're at a time now where if you're going into a listing presentation and you don't know the Zestimates on the comps and that seller, you may be blindsided because the seller absolutely knows, right? And not only know what they are, but then also be able to tell the seller how inaccurate they are, right? So there's a very powerful page in Cloud CMA that shows them how far off the Zestimate is on each of the comps, and then also gives them an average for their neighborhood. So, Mr. Seller, you know, I know you brought up this estimate, just so you're aware, this estimate's off 7.5% in this neighborhood, right? And that's the equivalent of almost $154,000 plus or minus. So we have that dollar amount that helps that kind of hit home a little bit more. Now, of course, 7.5% is not too bad, but we know in some markets this can be 30 to 40% off. Now, we have a lot of agents that use Cloud CMA, and I'm going to be alluding to this a little bit, but they also they not only use it passively because they have a listing presentation that they got to go to, but they're also using it to drive business, right? and generate some leads. And one of the ways I've seen agents doing that with this page is as a mailer. So everybody in your farm, in your market area knows what Zillow is. Why not print this out and mail it to them with a cover letter that says, hey, I'm a local agent in this neighborhood. I'm the expert. You should be coming to me for home values rather than going to Zillow. I talked to a lady in Huntington Beach down where our office is located, and she sent one of these out. Now, she's been sending mailers for 12 years. She's a veteran. She's been doing this a long time. She sent this one out, and it got the most response she's ever had of any mailer she's ever sent. And she does it now I think she's doing it quarterly now. So just kind of a little tip on using some of this information proactively to go after and drive business too. Also, just a kind of a tip before I get into how to make a CMA. And sometimes I show this at the end. Sometimes I show it at the beginning. I'm choosing to show it now. I'm going to show everybody on here how to pull in comps from Central Oregon, how to create a CMA like kind of the traditional way. But if you're in a pinch and you need something quick from us, you don't have to log into the MLS. You don't even have to log into Cloud CMA. You can simply pick up your phone, email us what you want, and the turnaround time is less than a minute. So in this case, I'm asking for a property report. I'm going to show you the emails in a moment. The subject line, it's up to you to type something in. Usually if you're standing in front of somebody, that would be their name. So their name shows up on the report. And then in the body of the email, you give us the full address. And then you email that to us in less than a minute, it's finished. Now here's all the different email addresses that you can use. I'll pause here if you want to take a screenshot. I can always send this screen over to you, Linnea, as well, that you can share with your agents. But essentially, what reports you want at cloudcma.com. What reports you want at cloudcma.com. Give us the address, hit send, and you should have that back in your inbox. It's automated, so it works anytime. And I don't imagine you would want to make your CMAs this way for your listing presentation. You're going to want to go in to your MLS and select the comps. But you could be in a scenario where you're at the grocery store and you meet somebody and they start talking about their neighborhood, and you just say, well, what's your address? Let me send that to my assistant real quick. Whatever you want to tell them, send it to us. And before they check out the grocery store, there's a fully branded CMA from you sitting on their phone. So kind of proactive ways you can use it when you're out in the field talking to people and you need something quickly. All right. I'm going to go ahead now into my Cloud CMA account. So the good news is all of you have accounts already. So you're all set up. I know I sent Linnea over some instructions to get out to everybody to get in. If anybody's having any difficulty getting into their account, you can let me know on this call or let Linnea know, and we'll make sure we'll help you out. But you all should have an email address associated with your account, and then the password portion. The first thing you're going to need to do is hit I need a new password, because we didn't want to assign everybody the same password. It's not very safe to do that. So you're going to need to make up your own password, and then you're able to log in. Now, when you log in the first time, you aren't going to see any recent reports because you haven't made anything yet. There'll just be a video that says getting started with Cloud CMA. I think it's like 3 to 4 minutes long, and that video has been sufficient to train people. Kind of hits right to the point, shows you how easy it is to use. So even after this call, I just recommend maybe just going through that video really quick, just for a quick refresher before you make your first CMA. Now, before I get into making one, just a couple housekeeping items here. If you look up at your photo, you'll notice that you don't have a photo on there yet. It's going to actually be your initials. So you're going to click on that, and then where it says account settings, you're going to click there, and you're going to load your photo. So where it says change avatar, you're going to load your photo in there. Your name will be in here. Your company name, go ahead and fill that in. And then the company logo, I can't remember, Linnea, if we hard-coded that in for you guys or not. You'll know if you see a little code here, that means your company logo is already in there. You don't need to do anything. If you don't see that little code in there, you can just hit add, and then add your company logo in there as well. And then of course, just fill in this information here. Also very important is your MLS credentials. So go to MLS credentials, make sure you pick Oregon. So I'm going to go down to Oregon here. And then for MLS provider, it's going to be Central Oregon. And when you click on that, just put in your credentials here for Central Oregon. Now, it's very unique. I don't want to get into too much detail, but agents in your market do not have access to Cloud CMA unless they get a permission from Central Oregon and pay a fee to that MLS. It's very unique. The good news is a lot of agents aren't using Cloud CMA in your market because they all just don't get access to it automatically. So it's again a big differentiator in your market if you're using this program, because not everybody has access to it unless they go through this kind of permissioning process. Good news, all that's already been done for you already. So put your credentials in here, click update, and now you are set to go. So I'm going to go back now to the home screen, and the way I do that is just click on the green cloud at the top. It takes you right back to where I started. So getting started is pretty simple. There's a big button on the left that will say create a report. So create new report, I'm going to click on that. And then I'm presented with 4 options. I can make a CMA, a buyer tour, a property report, or a flyer. I'm going to go ahead and start with the CMA. And when I click on that, it asks me to fill in some simple information. So I'm going to type in my client's name here on the top. I'm going to type in a subject property address on the right. Notice as I start typing in my subject property address, it'll actually kind of find it for me already, and I could just click on it. Then it will fetch tax data, and it will fill in some of this information. If I click on advanced info, you can see it got the year built, lot size. It might not be able to find everything. It's based on public records, so you can certainly fill in the blanks. My advice is always double check this. This is public record data, but at least we've done some of the homework for you. It's already set, defaulted to do residential, but you certainly can change it. Now, I'm not mapping mine to your MLS right now, so I don't know what your MLS is giving us as far as these little fields here, but they should be exactly the same ones you would find on the MLS. They map them to us. But most of you, I think, will be doing residential. Adding a cover photo is important. That's where you add the photo of the subject property. If you don't add the photo, something still will show up on the cover. It's actually going to be a map of the neighborhood with the property plotted on the map. I just think it looks better, and I think everybody would agree. It's just better to have the picture of the subject property on the cover before you go to listing presentation. But either will work. And then as you scroll down, you'll be asked a question: how do you want to get comps pulled into Cloud CMA? So there's 2 ways to do this. The first way is to get exactly what you want by MLS number. So in this scenario, you're going to have Cloud CMA already open. Then you're going to log into Central Oregon and do the search there. Same search you always do. Once you've selected the comps that you want to use, then you can either type or copy and paste the MLS numbers into this little box. In some MLSs, and I'm not as familiar with yours as others, they have like a export to like a CSV file functionality. And in that case, a lot of times, if you just do that first, and then it's really easy to copy all the MLS numbers at one time and paste them in here rather than doing them one by one. If anybody wants to kind of test that after we're done and let everybody know if that worked, that would be helpful. So that's the first way. The second way is just check this button and we'll pull comps for you. You can say, look, I want at least 10 or 20. I want to go back, let's say 6 months. And we have this little more criteria button built in for you. So there's some basic search items here. It's never going to replace, there's no company, third-party company, that would ever replace the robust search you have on the MLS. So we're not trying to do that here, but we can certainly give you kind of a start here. So there's a lot of agents that just use the quick and dirty search. They pull a bunch of comps over. The good news is you're going to get everything you want. I guess the bad news is you're going to get a few you don't want, and then you would just deselect them. So you're just going to look through the list and say, I like this one, kind of like what you would do on the MLS. I think a lot of agents in your market actually use this way. They just check that box off, pull them in, and then they deselect them. There's another broker in your area, and they were telling me that's how their agents do it. So either way works. So I'm going to go into one I've already made. And the way you look at just your CMAs is you click on these tabs up here at the top. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to display all my CMAs. And by the way, you can make as many as you want. You're not going to break the system, and they never go away. I've had agents say, well, I've had other programs where after like 30 days they go away. They only go away if you delete them. And the way you delete them is you click on this little 3-dot button and you just say delete report. Now, as you're starting to put more and more CMAs together, like I have 19 pages of CMAs, you can look them up by name. Most agents will title their CMA by the person's name. So you can go up to the top and start typing their name in, and it'll find that particular CMA for you, which is helpful if you start to do a lot of these. Now, as far as creating a new one, like I mentioned before, I could have done that from, sorry, I'm going to go back to the home screen. There's 2 ways to make all reports. From the home screen, so create a new report and then pick what you want, or if you're already under the tab and you need to make a new CMA, just click on Create CMA, and it takes you right to where you fill that information in like I talked about before. So I'm going to go back here now. I'm going to log in, or I'm going to go into one I've already made, the one I've labeled sample. And the way you get into a report you've already made is just click the edit button. And you can see here that I have filled in the information. I got my client's name. I have my subject property address. I've loaded a photo of the subject property, which by the way is that's the photo of the Brady Bunch house, which is down the street from me, which recently sold. A little fun fact. And then as I come down the bottom here, you can see I've elected to do the quick and dirty search. So I've checked that box off. I'll come down here and hit this little green button. Now, if it's a brand new CMA, it'll say fetch listings. If it's an existing CMA, it'll say update listings. So of course, I'm in an existing one I've already made, so my buttons say update. Yours will say fetch though, because you're making a new one. And when you click on fetch, that'll now pull those listings over from the MLS. And I'm going to turn all these back on because you're going to see them all. And you'll see them located on the map. Now, in the quick and dirty search, like I said, you're probably going to get more than you want. I don't know many agents that pull this many comps in when they're making a CMA. So you could always go down here and uncheck the ones you don't want. Notice they just gray out. Or you could do that from the map. If you kind of swivel around the map here and you decide, look, I don't want this one here on Balboa Island, I can click on it and just uncheck it. Really simple. If you want to change the order of your presentation, you can drag and drop these where you want them. So I click on them and just pull them to where I want them to be in my presentation. For those of you that need to make adjustments or just want to see more details on these properties, you can click on Details and Adjustments. It expands my little card. I can now scan through the photos. You have the ability to make some changes to the description if need be. Maybe if somebody spelled something wrong. And then down below is where you would add your adjustments. So if I wanted to add, let's say, a pool, and I give it a value of, I don't know what a pool costs, $30,000, so 30 grand, and I hit save, that'll create a price adjustment for that particular comp. So it'll show the original price throughout your CMA, and then the price adjusted price will be right next to it, right? And we'll have separate calculations for you. So it's really easy for them to understand what you've done with any price adjustments. And you can see here at the top, oh, sorry, I forgot to save that one. But once you save it, it'll let you know what the adjusted price is, and then it'll remind you that you've made that adjustment down on that comp. Now, if you have an off-market listing, something that has not hit the MLS, but you want to use it as a comp, you can click Add Listing, and then you can manually put them in. And just like before, when you type in an address here, it will fill in a lot of this information for you. You even have the ability to add photos for an off-market listing if you happen to have a couple photos. Now, in the case where you get here and you forget a comp, so yet there's a comp on the MLS that you forgot to bring over, just type the MLS number here. You don't have to go back and like start over again. Just type that MLS number in there, and you can also add a listing that way. At the top of the screen, underneath where the map is the spot for your suggested list price. We leave that blank for lots of, I think, hopefully obvious reasons. You don't want us picking prices for you. So it's up to you to type one in. We know a lot of agents, they don't put suggested list prices in their CMAs. That, you know, you want to come to that conclusion with the seller. So whatever is your style, if you want to put one in, just type it in, or type a value range. We have a price guide button, so we have some suggested ranges. So you can certainly use those if you want them, or at least use them as a guide. If you want to use one of them, just click on it and it'll populate up here. Next step is customize. So this is where you're going to, be able to set up the CMA the way you want it set up. Now, everybody should already be defaulted onto the Ben Premier Real Estate theme. I think we're defaulted to be just to Ben Premier, and then you'll have an option for Ben Premier Luxury. So you have two. You are not going to see all these other ones, by the way. You're just going to see your two options. So I'm going to pick Ben Premier, and I hit choose theme. You won't actually have to choose it because it's already there for you. The only thing you'll have to choose is the luxury theme if you want to change it. So this is a kind of a manifest of your current CMA. If you want to know what some of these pages look like, I can certainly click on them. So, for example, let's say the title page. I can get a preview here. And if you didn't want a page, I'm not sure why you wouldn't want the title page, you can always hit the minus button and slide it over to be in this introduction section here. We have some pages over here in these folders if you want to use them, these guidance pages, but they're not defaulted to be in your CMA. We thought it'd be a better idea to choose them from here, but if you want one, just click on it. And just like I mentioned before, you can always preview them and see what they look like here. If you want to change the order of your pages, you can certainly do that just by dragging these where you want them to go. And if you want to add your own pages, you can do that as well. So the way you add your own custom content, you go up to your photo, you click on custom pages, and you have two options. The first option, I think, is probably used less than the second one. The first option is you title a page, you click add, and then you build it inside of here. The advantage if you do it this way is it's going to fall under the Ben Premier header. It's going to fall between the header and footer. So it's going to look like it belongs more in the CMA. It's going to follow the same flow and design. The disadvantage is it just takes a little bit longer than just uploading a PDF. However, I had an agent a couple weeks ago tell me a trick. So if you want it to kind of look like it more belongs in the presentation, convert your whatever PDF you have or Word document, convert it into a JPEG, and then go in here and drop that image in there, right? Or you can even just drag it and drop it in here, and then expand it. Just go in there and stretch it all out so it fits in here. That's it. It's pretty simple. The other way to do it is just go to the bottom and click Upload PDF. That's very fast. I guess the disadvantage is it just might not match the other pages perfectly. So once you put a page in here, I'm going to go back to the CMA I was in. If you remember, I was in the CMA called Sample. I'm going to go back into Edit. And we were under the Customize step. There's a folder on the left-hand side that says custom pages. So as you're adding custom pages, they will fill up in this folder. Then you would just add them. So I want to add this one. And where it goes, just so everybody knows, it's at the bottom. And if you want to change the order, just slide it to where you want it to go. The good news is once you publish a report, that's also acts as a save. So the next time you make your CMA, it's going to be exactly the same way as you made it the last time. As far as layouts, you also have some selections up here. I can choose, I think everybody's defaulted to the 2-photo layout, but you can certainly select other ones as well. Just so everybody's aware, the first 3 layouts will pull in every photo up to a max of 50. When it says 2-photo layout, it just means it shows 2 photos on the property detail page, and then all the listing photos will fall underneath. If you just want to pull in a single photo, you can do these kind of side-by-side layouts here. So you have a few options. If you're not seeing all of the photos coming in, where it says listings in this folder, just make sure you click where it says add more photos. And then under the listing details, you'll have that section in here as well. If you don't have that, it won't pull in all the photos. A lot of agents don't want them all coming in. And then very last thing, templates. So some agents have different ways they want to show their CMA, so you can save them as templates. Now we have a bunch of them that we've already done. Like if you just want to show comps, there's a template already pre-made for you. Agents told us what they would want in a buyer's CMA, a pre-listing package. If you want to make your own, just go to custom and just hit save template and name it whatever you want to name it, and you'll have your own custom template too. I'm going to pause here, Linnea, really quickly and see if anybody has any questions. I haven't seen anything come through the chat yet. Actually, I do see one question. It's from you, Linnea, at the very beginning. Her question was, I am a California broker, and when I go to Cloud CMA, it connects to Lake County MLS and not Oregon. So that's a good question. So if you're already in Cloud CMA, you're already inside of here, you should see Central Oregon. If yours is going to Lake County, just switch it, just change it. Just go into account settings, and like I showed before, in MLS credentials, and just select Oregon and select Central Oregon. If you are trying to set up a new account, or you're logged out of Cloud CMA, and for some reason you're trying to select an MLS, you will not see Central Oregon, because again, Cloud CMA is not available in your market unless you get permission from the MLS. So you may have been looking at a list when you were not logged into the MLS. That could have been the case. I have another question here. Jane asks, is your resume page customizable from your profile section? Absolutely. So when you're in, back in my CMA, there's a few pages that are customizable. So I go back into where I was, edit, and I'm going to go to customize. So any of the pages that say edit next to them are customizable. So I'm glad you brought this up. This resume will not show up in your report until you customize it, because I'm sure you don't want this in your report. This is kind of like a generic one. So you have to edit it first. And once you edit it, then it will start showing up. Same thing for the cover letter. The cover letter is not going to show up in the report until you edit it, because we have to assume this is not what you want to say to your seller. So once you go in and you make any edits to it, then it will start showing up in your report. Now, of course, if you have a resume that you think looks better than our resume builder, you can always just load it in as a PDF, right? And just have it as one of your static pages. But just note that any button that says edit, that page will not show up until you actually make an edit to it. Except for the title page. Title page is always going to show. It's just that some agents don't want to call a CMA a CMA. They want to change the title. It just allows you to change the title. All right. Good question. Linnea says, we have agents who are licensed in California as well as Oregon. That's fine. If you want to use Cloud CMA in California, Just go and change the MLS to whichever MLS you belong to. Of course, obviously you have to be a member of that MLS because it's going to ask for your username and ID. So that's not a problem at all. You can toggle between MLSs as long as you belong to those MLSs. All right, so the next step, publish. And I know I spent before I go to that, I know I spent some time in here. Most agents don't. Maybe the first time you kind of go in here and set up the way you like, but then once it's the way you like, there's no reason to go in to customize. Just go right to publishing the report. And when you publish it, it's going to generate one of these little CMA cards. And now you have some options as far as how you want to present it. Looks like I got one more question here. Jane asked, I couldn't find the mobile app under Apple. So we don't have there's no native app to download from Apple, Jane. So all of our apps are mobile responsive. They're web apps. So if you log into Cloud CMA on your phone, it's going to fit and work on your phone. It'll look like a native app that you would download from Apple, but there's no app to download. It's actually a much better solution to have it this way rather than having to download apps. All right, so I've made my CMA, and now let's say I want to email it to my client. Well, if I want to email it, I click this little 3-dot button, and I either click email report. If you click email report, it will open up your email and will already have the link there ready to go. I always just copy the PDF link and paste it into whatever email I'm using. And then I can also email the slideshow. I'll show you that in a moment. What's cool is any report you email, if you hover over it, you'll see if they looked at it. So this one's been viewed 55 times. It was last viewed an hour ago, and then I updated it 9 months ago. Wow, I haven't made an update in a while. So you can kind of see how these are doing for you if you start emailing them out to people. Now, if you want to print it, you're going to click on View PDF, and then you're going to print the report. So here's some examples of what that looks like. Here's your Ben Premier real estate theme. There's my cover letter. By the way, there's my generic resume. Yours will be built up because, of course, you're going to want to put your own in there. Contact me page. When you go in and you first set up your contact information, that's all what's going to show here. Here's my map of comparables, my summary of comparable properties here. And then we get into our listing section. So there'll be these little kind of chapter pages. And then we get into now our property details. And I've elected on this one to pull in all photos. So again, it's going to pull in every photo up to a maximum of 50. And you can see here, just so if you make any adjustments, the adjustment price is always going to be right next to the original price as well. And then in addition to that, there will be an adjusted price page that shows them what you've done. If I keep going down, you're going to see, sorry, there's a lot of comps here. Everybody close their eyes. I don't want to make anybody nauseous because I'm making myself nauseous. Okay, so we get to the analysis section. First thing you'll see is the comparable property statistics. The next page is the online valuation analysis. Remember, this is that Zillow page we talked about. And then following that, we have the sold property analysis. And we provide these little summaries at the top. So just at a glance, I can get an idea of what the data is going to talk about down below. If you've added a suggested list price, you're going to see it here as well. So that's the Ben Premier template, and then the one for luxury just has a little bit different look and feel with your luxury logo on it. Now, if you go and you decide you want to show this as a slideshow, you can click View Slideshow, and now you can present your CMA this way. So this would be more like for an iPad. So I could just swipe from left to right. I can click on the comparables directly on the map, and then I can swipe down for more photos. I can click on those to kind of blow them up there, and just going from left to right. So it's the same information. It doesn't have as many pages as the full PDF does. It takes some of those out. It just gets more to the point. I think the PDF is more of a leave behind, and this is when you're ready to go through and show comparables. Looks like I got another question that came through. Jane says, if you're using this for listing, you won't have the full details yet. If you're using for a buyer, are you pulling from the MLS? Good question. So that's Jane, that's actually a perfect segue. I'm going to go now and start and talk about the buyer tour. Mostly for a buyer, you would make the buyer tour, right? Because you're going to go out and you're going to be looking at properties today. So it works the same way as the CMA. I go and I click on, create a buyer tour. And then I'm going to fill in their name. I'm going to open up Central Oregon MLS. I'm going to select the properties I want to show my buyer today, and I'm going to paste them in this box and hit fetch. Under the customize step, just a couple things you could do. Let me go back into this one I've already made here. I don't know very many agents that customize the buyer tour, but the ones that I do, they like to change the title of it. Not everybody wants to call it a buyer tour. Maybe it's a home tour. Maybe it's an open house tour. So if you want to pull in all the local open houses and make an open house tour, you can certainly do that. Maybe email to one of your clients. And then of course, it's all going to be branded to Ben Premier or Ben Premier Luxury if you want to use that logo. So this part's all the same, and then I would just go to publish the report. Now on the buyer tour, just like the CMA, you have two options. I can print out a PDF, or I can do the slideshow. The PDF looks great. Here's an example of what it would look like here, and I think everybody in this call would agree. This looks a lot nicer than any property detail report you're going to print out of the MLS. I know the industry standard is, hey, we're going to look at 2 homes today, and then you go to the MLS and you print those pieces of paper out. I don't think anyone on this call thinks those things look great. This looks much more professional. There's an area where they can take notes. They got all the photos inside and out. Here's all the local schools. These are hyperlinks to their pages on greatschools.org if they want to know boundaries, class sizes, test scores. Here are the local restaurants with their ratings. So just much more impressive looking. But I also know the reality is you may not have time to print all this out for a buyer. So my suggestion to everybody on the call is when you're doing the buyer tour, start using the slideshow, right? You could email this to them ahead of time. One lady I talked to, when she meets with a buyer, she hands them her iPad. So instead of her handing those pieces of paper over stapled together, she hands them the iPad. And every single time they say, oh, no agent's ever done this before. We've never seen this before, which is the exact reaction that you want. You want to stand out. So now they're following her and they're on her iPad or they're sitting in the car with her and they're looking at the properties this way. So here's a slideshow of the buyer tour. So I can just swipe from left to right. I could click on the property we're going to be viewing today. I can swipe down. I have all the photos. If the buyer starts asking about schools, just tell them to click on these links. They'll get all the answers they need there. If I keep going down, I got the area restaurant. As they're going through properties, if they like a property, just tell them to hit the heart button. If they want to take notes, just hit the bubble. And then they can add notes in here and hit post. And when they do that, you can open this up. Now you can open the PDF or you can open the slideshow and you can review all their notes. And at the end of this, it says, hey, if you want the full buyer tour, type in your email, hit send. That will now send your buyer the full PDF. I would also recommend, hey, if you're wanting opinions from family members or anybody else, friends, put their email addresses in here. And when they send it to them, of course, it has all of your branding on it. I got a question here. Will Kindle Fire Kindle 10 work the same as an iPad? Kathy, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not that familiar with Kindles. I'm assuming if your Kindle has internet access and can browse the internet, absolutely, it'll work just fine. As long as it can open this link up, it'll work fine. Stephanie asks, trying to enter my photo. I upload the photo and it says adjust photo, which I do, but there's nowhere to finish it up. Stephanie, go ahead and email me just directly. I'll give you my email here at the end and I can help you out. All right, and just to kind of give you my personal experience with this buyer tour, I recently purchased a home. I purchased a home last year, a second home in Las Vegas as a investment property, and it's been a long time since I've been kind of like out in the wild with an agent in their car driving around looking at properties. And we met this agent, and it was my girlfriend and I and her mom, and we got in her car and we started driving around looking at properties. Well, by the third property, we couldn't remember what they looked like because she was carrying the pieces of paper from her local MLS. They had one photo on, and we were all getting very frustrated. I was the most frustrated because I have the solution for her, right? She could have just had this and would have solved the issue. The problem now is we were in the back seat of the car and we're on Redfin. So there's going to be some cases where your buyer's following you around and they're on Zillow and Redfin. That is not the experience you want. You want to control this. You do not want him to go to these other sites. The agent was on Zillow. So the agent's on Zillow, we're on Redfin, and we're re-looking up all the photos. They could have totally controlled this by just giving us this link, having it all branded to them, and having the experience come from them rather than Zillow. Of course, you always run the risk when you're on Zillow, you're finding other agents on there. And, you know, agents talk about all the time, well, I can't get my client off Zillow. Well, the reason why is because Zillow is providing a better experience, hands down, than anything coming out of your MLS. So if anything comes across today, you know, Lene and your company has purchased Cloud CMA for your company for a reason, to stand out and hopefully stop everybody from using reports from the MLS. Because number one, you're going to look like everybody else, which you don't want to do. And number two, the reports coming out of the MLS are just awful looking. So this is a way to make a really good first impression and just look more professional. Robert has a question, suggestion, at least on an iPhone, as there is no app, but you go through a browser, hit the drop-down menu in the lower right corner after you open Cloud CMA and choose request desktop site. So I think, Robert, what you're alluding to is you guys can save websites onto your phone, so they show up as little icons on your phone, which is a really good idea. So if you're using Cloud CMA a lot on your phone, iPhone has a little button. I think it now, Robert says it says request desktop site. It probably depends on which iPhone you have. A Samsung might say something different, but now you have Cloud CMA directly on your phone in an icon, and you don't have to type in the URL every time. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. If not, Robert, you can certainly give a class on it. Sorry, but it's a good suggestion. All right, so I'm going to go back into Cloud CMA, and I'm just going to quickly go over the last two reports. The reason why I'm saying quickly is because they're so simple to make. All you need is an address. You don't even need an MLS number. So if I want to make a property report, which is used a lot of times in open houses, I would click create property report. I'm just going to go into what I already did. And you would just type in the address or the MLS number, but a lot of times just the address is super simple. Click fetch, property report's going to come through. I'm not going to go through the customize step. I'm just going to open this thing up. This is what a property report would look like. It's pretty similar to the buyer tour. It's just focused on a single home. This is used a lot of times in open houses. I live in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, Cloud CMA is a member benefit. So the MLS actually pays for it for everybody in this area. And I go to a lot of open houses, and I always see these at open houses. Tons of agents using Cloud CMA at their open houses. And they look fantastic. Now, the disadvantage in LA is everybody's got access to Cloud CMA. So now you're still running the risk of looking like everybody else. In your area, nobody does. Again, you have to get permission from the MLS. I think there's one other broker in your area using it. So it's not a ton of agents in your market that are getting access to Cloud CMA. Let's see, Jane here. Can you show us how to sign in? We do it with Cloud Agent Suite or email. It doesn't give me an option to change password, just forgot. So when you guys first set up your account, and I think Linnea has these instructions, you're going to need to click a button that says forgot password, and I sent over the link to her, and I could send it again. So you all have to hit forgot password, because remember, we did not give you any passwords. So you need to change your password first, or put one in, and then you'll be able to log in. And the way you'll get into Cloud CMA is two ways. You can go to cloudcma.com and click login, or you could go to cloudagentsuite.com and log in. Both of those will log you in. Cloud Agent Suite is just a little bit kind of like our newer way to do it, but both will work. But in order to log in, you're going to need to hit forgot password first to set up your password. All right, and then Robert makes a good point. When you're on Cloud CMA on your phone, it's not a he said it's not a watered down version. Everything's in there. It works exactly the same. It just fits the phone. So it's just really, really simple to use on a phone, but all of the functionality is there. And that's with all of our products. The entire suite of products we have are all optimized for mobile device. All right, where am I here? Oh, flyer, very last report. So for flyers, just like profit report, all you need, again, is an address. So I'm just going to go into what I made. And you can see here, I provided an address. I hit fetch. One listing is going to go through, so I'm going to go past the listing stage. I'm just going to go to customize. And you should all be defaulted to the Ben Premier real estate theme. And then here's an example of what a flyer would look like. If you want to change the layout, there's some layouts here you can choose from. You're not able to make your own layout. You would need to select from one of these kind of templates. So if I click on one here, it'll load a preview of what that's going to look like. If you want to change the title of it, there's some different titles that you can choose from. And if you need to clean up the description, sometimes the descriptions are too long and they kind of like cut off on the flyer. So maybe you want to parse that down a little bit so it fits here better. It doesn't look like it got cut off. By the way, we won't just blanketly cut it off. We'll do like a ... But if you want it all to fit, you might need to change it up a little bit. Got a question. Jane asks, I already answered Jane. Katie McGinnis, can you briefly explain the reports we can get instantly by texting the emails you provided? Say we meet somebody on a ski lift. Oh, that's nice. So you can make all of the reports by email. So if you wanted a flyer, you're on the ski lift and somebody starts talking about real estate and they have an address and they want information on the home, just type in that address in that email and request a flyer. Again, the email addresses are here. I would recommend, if you're going to use this functionality a lot, is save these email addresses in your phone. Just save them. CMA at Cloud CMA, property at Cloud CMA, tour at Cloud CMA, so you're all set to go. And then when you do the email, you're going to, again, address up here, full address at the bottom. It has to be the full address. If you forget the zip code, it'll come back immediately and say, hey, you didn't give us a full address. Sorry, I'm jumping around a lot. So full address, and then the person that's sitting on the lift with you, put their name right here, because it's going to be pretty impressive when it comes back and it's got their name on it. So that could be a profit report, a flyer, CMA, any of the reports. A cool little trick if you have an iPhone and you have all these property addresses already in there, you can actually ask Siri to do it for you. Hi Siri, make me a CMA, right? That triggers that email, and then you just say the address into your phone. We've tested that like many years ago, and it works. I don't know any agent that's ever done it, but I thought it was kind of cool. So if you want to look super high tech on a lift with a stranger, yell at your phone to make them a report, and it will happen. All right, and again, I'll pause here for a minute if you all want to take a quick screenshot of that. And if you want to know the technology behind this, just so everybody is up to speed, so the way this works is we partner with a women's correctional facility just outside of our office in Huntington Beach, and when you send this over, all the prisoners get the email, and then they start putting the reports together for you and send it back. And obviously, I'm just kidding. That's not the way this happens. Hopefully, you thought that was funny. It happens automatically, so you guys can send them over to us anytime that you want. I think, I haven't covered everything. One other thing I wanted to talk about is our lead generation. So if you want to generate leads with Cloud CMA, you go up to your photo and you click on the button that says lead generation. And every one of you has a landing page that looks like this. It says, what's my home? I'll blow it up here. I'll hit view landing page. So if a consumer comes here and they type in their address, just like this, and they hit search, it'll say, hey, we found your property. What's your name, email, phone number, square footage? The only thing they have to give is an email. Everything else is optional. And when they hit email, then they will be getting a email back that looks like, I don't have that example up here, sorry. They're going to get an email from you in like 2 minutes with a CMA. It'll say, thanks for landing on my page. Here's a quick CMA on your home. It's just a quick and dirty. And then it will say, I'm going to be following up with you shortly to ask you more questions about your home, yada, yada. And that same moment, you're going to get an email. Hey, Sally was on your landing page. She requested a CMA. We've already sent this one out. Go ahead and follow up with Sally. And then as you do that, like for example, places you would put this might be your website. More important than that would be social media like Facebook. I won't go into a class today on how to boost posts and all that, but I did do a class for a broker in Virginia last year, and the broker asked me if I could show her agents how to boost a post. So during the class, I went to Facebook. I got all the way to the point where I was going to hit boost, which normally I wouldn't do because I don't actually want to do it, and I hit it on accident. So now I've just been billed $9. It's not a big deal, but I think the big deal is I think it's illegal for me to represent myself as an agent in Virginia. So of course I'm going to take that thing down right away. Well, before our class ended, I already got a lead. So if you see here on my screen, where was I here? Here it is. So Eileen, there's a little Facebook logo on there, wanted to know what her home was worth. And one of the agents actually emailed me after the call and said, hey, do you mind if I follow up with Eileen? Can you send me her information? Which, I thought was pretty smart, so I was happy to do that. So within 15 minutes of me boosting it to a place I don't know anything about, I already got a lead. Somebody wanted to know what their home was worth. Question. I see a lot of LOLs and ha-has. Hopefully that was for my fantastic prison humor. Stephanie says, do you do postcards that do this link? So we don't do any printing, but I've seen agents put the postcards on the link. Now, if you're going to put this on a postcard, you need to have a URL that's not, a bunch of gibberish. So you would go buy URL, bendhomevalues.com, whatever you're going to buy, and then point it to the URL that we give you for your landing page. And I don't want everybody to race really quickly, but I almost guarantee you bendhomevalues.com is available. Everybody runs now to grab it. Now we have another product called Cloud Attract, which allows you to do as many landing pages as you want with your own design, with your own messaging. So if you have an interest in really going a step further than just having the one in here, then you can certainly email me and I can maybe do a separate class on that. But I think I've covered just about everything that I was going to show you. So I'm gonna open it up to questions again. Linnea, I'm gonna take you off mute here in a moment. I did get one question from Rachel. I'm trying to change my photo, but it won't allow me to save the new photo. You guys are having some photo issues. So Rachel, just email me. Here's my email, everybody. Shane@wrstudios.com. So I know on the photo, 5 megabytes is the max. So if you're trying to throw something in there a little larger than that, it might not come through. So that could be the answer to a couple of your questions. But if you want to email me, certainly can, and I can have support take a look at it. And actually, that reminds me, support. That's important, right? Just so everybody's clear, I am not support. I mean, you can feel free to email me, but I travel a lot. I'm in tons of meetings, and I'm not going to be the fastest one, and I'm not always going to be the one that knows the answer. It could be something I don't know anything about. So there's two ways to get support. One way is if you email Linnea, she could forward that into support, and then we can get an answer, but that takes a little bit more time. So I want to encourage everybody just to email us directly. So the email, there's a couple ways you can get support. So if I go to Support Center, the way I recommend, and actually I have mine turned off, but you'll see a little chat box in yours. My first thing I would do is type in the chat. I turned mine off, but there'll be a little thing that says, how can I help you? If you type in that, you'll get immediate response, or close to immediate, because somebody's getting that showing up, one of our support people, right on their computer. You can always also email support@cloudcma.com. I'm not sure where we show that in here, but support@cloudcma.com is another way. We have a phone number. I can certainly share it with all of you, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be the slowest support is if you call. Doing the chat box is the best way. Emailing in is the second best way. If we have to get on a call with you, we'll call you. But if you just call in and say, I have a problem, it's just, even if we answer right away, we're still going to have to hang up with you, test everything, and then email you back. It just makes it slower. So the best thing is to hit the chat box. Kate asked, are these reports able to be shared via social media, public-facing information? Absolutely. So all reports in Cloud CMA are links. So any of your CMA, I see agents put CMAs are probably not. Well, it depends on who your audience is. I see a lot of property reports on Facebook that agents have put onto Facebook. So any report that you make is a simple link. So here's my CMA, here's the link. I could post this to any social media. Good question. And just as and Linnea, I don't even know if you and I talked about this, but all of you in your Cloud CMA accounts, and I don't have the exact ETA, I think it's going to be within a month or so, we'll have a new button called Live CMA. And Live CMA is a total game changer. There is nothing in the market like it at all. And it's a completely interactive CMA that you can use at a listing presentation. It's not a slideshow that you have to go into chronological order. You can click on different tabs to show exactly what you want to show. You'll be able to draw on the screen live in front of the client. So if you want to circle specific things, you can do that with the Telestrator. The CMA will be a living document, so it will automatically be updating itself. So if you get out of the car and you walk in and that sold that's in your CMA is now pending, it'll update it for you and it will recalculate everything. So it's very, very cool. I've seen some kind of rough stuff right now, but we're finishing it up. So that'll all be available to you. We'll make an announcement, but it will be called Live CMA. I think I've covered everything. Linnea, I'm going to take you off mute now. And let's see, give me just a second here. Oh, look, Linnea, it looks like for some reason I'm going to make you the, just give me a second. I'm going to make you a panelist again. And now I should be able to unmute you. All right, Linnea, I think you should have audio now.
Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So hopefully this new technology will be great. I'm hoping that you guys all are as excited about it as I am. I think it's going to be a game changer for us. One of the things that will also be coming up probably within the next month, our new listing presentation, we're going to upload also into the cloud. So you can electronically send your entire listing presentation as well as part of this. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great.
So you guys, if anyone has questions on this, obviously Shane showed you where support is located, and Emily has played with it more than I have, and so we have some skill to help you through this. But I think it's fairly simple. I hope you guys all think the same thing. And Shane, I'm sure that if we have need for a second presentation, maybe you can have one of those in the future if we have enough demand for that. Is that possible?
Absolutely. And just to give everybody a step, I looked at your dashboard, your like broker dashboard, to see how many of you were creating ports. So far, only 4 of you have. And I know we launched this last week, but only 4 of you made a report. So hopefully after today, that number is going to go way up. I guess my advice with Cloud CMA is don't wait for training. Don't wait. Just get in there and start using it. It's really, really simple to do. And then of course, if you have questions, you can bring them up. But you're not going to break it. It's really easy. 90% of what you're going to be doing in Cloud CMA, you're doing on the MLS first, picking your comps. We just make it look pretty and presentable for clients.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I hope will make us stand out, just like Matterport when we did that a couple of years ago, makes us stand out in the crowd. So hopefully this will be a tool that you guys will all use and really enjoy.
Awesome. Thanks, Linnea. Anybody has questions, if they forget my email, they can email you, and then you can certainly ask them. For those of you with the kind of the photo issues, just email me directly, and I'll see what's going on. But I think it just might be the size of the photo. Linnea, and when you're ready to set up those, add those pages into the accounts for everybody, just let me know. And Chris can help you do that. It's really simple.
We'll do so. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Okay,
thanks, everybody.
Thanks for
your time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.